Hello, good evening. How you doing? Doing okay today? It turns out today is a very special, very personal anniversary. Not talk about weddings or birthdays. 10 years ago, I went to my very first 8-4 party in Tokyo. I should explain what's going on here. So, 10 years ago in the summer, so August 2009, I had been writing some stuff about video games by myself. Some of it ended up on the internet, some of it was posted on other websites. There was no money here. I was just writing and people were reading it, and it was fun. But obviously, I saw people writing about things, for money. I was like, oh, I'd like to do that. And an opportunity presented itself via Twitter. Chris Kohler, then of Wired, straight up posted to Twitter, like, hey, we are looking for someone who can help cover Tokyo Game Show this fall. And I responded right away. Seriously, I didn't wait. I was like, hello, I've written some things and thank you. And didn't hear from him a few days. And a few days later, I got an email. It's like, oh, I haven't forgotten about you. Do you have any samples? And so I sent a bunch of samples. Some of it was about games. Some of it was about my son being born. Because it's 2009. Kind of the biggest thing in my life going on was my infant son. Sent that off. Waited. Got a response. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So, okay, great. So I showed up in Tokyo on September 22nd, 2009, 2 days ahead of the show. And I got there and we met very briefly, but he's like, yeah, so there's a party tonight. You should, I already called and you're on the list, so go to this address and it's a party. So me and my naivete thought, oh, well, it's a party, there's a guest list, must just be like some, house party thing, or maybe someone's, some small event. I showed up to this place. I do not recall the name of this place. It had a vague Africa theme to it. But when I showed up, there was already this giant line just to get in. And I'm waiting in the line. I wait and wait and wait, and then I get in, and it's like, this place is just packed, okay? Every direction I could turn or move in, someone is standing there. And certainly wherever the bar is, that has the most number of people. So, if you're new to this series, if you haven't figured that out yet, I am not a people person. I'm not a party person. I do well with gatherings of like 3 to 4 people. And this was, probably 200, 300. I couldn't count. But, I was there. I was like, oh, this is it. This is my chance to like meet people. And, in the back of my head, it's like, oh, maybe they would hire me. I mean, obviously I was there to work with Chris, but it's also like, hey, he only agreed to hire me for this one show. Maybe someone wants to hire me for more other things, right? But also, it was like, this was my first ever chance to meet people who I already knew via the internet. You got to realize at this point, because I was writing stuff, of course, I was reading stuff, right? I was reading stories, I was listening to podcasts. So this entire room was like, oh, this is like everyone I could possibly want to talk to. Because this is the era where Tokyo Game Show was still like the biggest deal. So, of course, everyone flew into Japan and everyone's Tokyo Game Show. So, again, part of the reason this room was packed is because, yeah, everyone, from San Francisco, from New York, from Europe, they were all there. And I walked around and, some of them I knew from pictures, some of them I knew from videos, and most people I just knew from, like, voices. So I kind of had to figure out what some people looked like, and I had to introduce myself to some people, which was, as we say, nerve-wracking, very, very anxious. I mean, whatever. I remember that was the first night I ever met Shane Bettenhausen. That was the first night I met Garnet Lee. But perhaps the biggest thing for me was, it was the first night I got to meet Jeremy Parish, who was already, like, the Retronauts guy, even though he worked at 1UP and he was doing tons of things and writing about all sorts of stuff. Like, Retronauts was his thing. He talked a lot about old games. He had a website where he wrote about old games. I had only recently seen him write a whole post about visiting Osaka, yeah. And he went to Super Potato, yeah. And everything in this post, like, oh my God, this is, I know this, I've been there, I love it, I love it. And I sent him a comment, and he read the comment. So by that point, we were already like internet acquaintances. I think we may have already started following each other on Twitter at that point. So I was like, hello, it's nice to meet you. Thank you very much. And we talked, and I think he was probably one of the few people who I managed to like say a complete sentence to without just like panicking. But in the end, I left the party. Nothing crazy happened. I did eventually see Chris there too. Chris was like, "Oh yeah, hello," and but yeah, it was my very first 8-4 party, which then would become a tradition. I mean, their party, of course, predated that, but I would just go to that party every year, and it was something I really looked forward to. And now I don't really go to Tokyo anymore, so I don't go to the party. That's a shame. Anyway, it was very nice. I got to meet I don't think I got to meet any of the 8-4 people that night, probably because I didn't really know them, and I don't think that their podcast had started yet, so I didn't really know who they were yet. But eventually, of course, I would get to know them, and yeah, it was good. But yeah, it's particularly significant because right now, of course, I write for Retronauts.com. You go to Retronauts, right? You go to Retronauts, I hope, read my things. So I'm working for Jeremy, with Jeremy. I don't know what preposition to use there. And yeah, it all started 10 years ago. I got to meet him. It's cool. Anyway, got work tomorrow. Good night, everybody.